I am in the seat of Menzies. Now, Menzies is a traditional blue ribbon seat. The MP had been Keith Wolahan of the Liberal Party, but after last night's victory of the Labour Party, he has now lost that, and it's now gone to Gabriel Ng, who's had a 2.45% swing towards him. Now, Gabriel Ng is of a Chinese-Australian descent, and Menzies is said to be one of the most multicultural electorates in Australia. In fact, something like 1 out of 4 Australians are said to be Chinese Australians. Now, Chinese Australians, of course, just as concerned about housing, about tax reform, about their businesses here. But I want to bring in now Jason Fang, who is the ABC's reporter for the Asia Pacific Network, who has a real local touch here in Box Hill, the seat of Menzies. Good morning to you, Jason.
Good morning.
Thanks for bringing out the birds here too. Listen, so this swing against the Liberal Party, this has been a blue ribbon seat for the longest time, since Robert Menzies inside. Let's talk about why this happened. What are you hearing on the ground?
Actually, the things turned very different directions in the last 48 hours because there was an interview on Channel 7's program that Jane Hume, it's a Liberal Senator, made mention of China spy claim without any substantiation that turned the tides for the Chinese community. Because we have a version of that video, into the Chinese social media like WeChat or the Red Note, people hotly discussing the issues. And some people, yesterday I went to some voting booth, people with a Chinese background mentioned to me time and time again about that video.
Right. So the implication here is that Liberal Party, Jane Hume, had implied that there were Chinese spies within the Australian Chinese community, and that is something that the Chinese community, particularly here in Box Hill and Menzies, has really taken offence to, and that's why they decided to vote Labour?
That's correct. I think people, one of the small business person I interviewed yesterday, he said that draws back the memories of what happened in 2022, just prior to the election, the hawkish comments on China, on Chinese Australians. So that's why he decided to vote for Labour instead of Liberal. And there is another person who told me that, we've been Chinese for a long time, been Australian Chinese and loyal to Australia all the time. Why every time there's election, we've been questioned for our loyalty? They feel they've been singled out from the community, wider community.
We've had this discussion before, Jason, about how is it there will be some Australians who will be asking, as you say, or querying the loyalty of Chinese Australians. How can you be Chinese, still have cultural ties to China, because you have family there, you have business there, and yet be Australian? How does the Chinese community take to that?
I think the Chinese community believe that they are Australian first. They understand the value, understand the democratic process. Even some people have never voted in China. They try to familiarize themselves with the Australian system. Yesterday I was talking to a father and son. The son was voting first time, and the father been here for a long time, and they were talking about discussing issues, discussing policies at home, so they can easily, getting into the system very well.
So the Chinese community must be quite concerned whenever Sino-Australian ties become quite tense. What's the feeling then?
They feel that they've been scapegoated for the issues with the two countries. They can't control what China does. They just feel that they're meat in the sandwich, basically, criticized either way.
All right. Jason, thanks very much. That's Jason Fang there, ABC's Asia Pacific Network. And as you can see here, Dan, the Chinese Australian community in Australia, really, they are Chinese by culture, by tradition, but they're also Australian. And as Jason said there, they consider themselves Australian. So these implications of Chinese spies, so that they're not loyal to Australia, really doesn't fly with them. And as Jason said, it's one of the reasons why this seat, the seat of Menzies, is now under the Labour Party.